2025 is here, and it's time to put away all the Christmas decorations and start the year off with a brand new repaint. I bought this thing a few years ago with the intentions of turning it into a brand new repaint, and now, after a lot of waiting, it's finally time to paint it. Oh, great, better practice my Angerus voice. No, you're not becoming Angerus. Or? To put it lightly, the Rajasaurus in Dinosaur King, the default colors are just, they're not really that good. It's like it's like that weird shade of greenish yellow, and then all the browns. It's not a very appealing color scheme, so it wouldn't really be fun to paint that onto the toy. But I don't get it. If I'm not supposed to become the Dinosaur King Rajasaurus, then why the heck did you even buy me? Oh, you're still becoming a Dinosaur King Rajasaurus, but not the regular one, the Super Alpha one. That's right, we are finally going to be painting an Alpha Dinosaur. Which is something I've been wanting to do for a long time because Alpha Dinosaurs look really cool. I started off by painting on a very light shade of gray, and I was absolutely surprised how well it stuck to the figure. I was expecting I needed multiple coats, but nope, it stuck on just fine. Maybe it's because I was being extra aggressive with the brush, but who knows. Once that was applied, I started applying Dove Gray to the belly, as well as the legs and anywhere else that needed to be where the pink wasn't going to hit until I had basically painted more than half of the figure in Dove Gray, which also stuck on really well, although that's mainly thanks to the primer, which was basically just another light shade of gray, which again, surprised it stuck. But then it was time to paint the top half in a very bright shade of pink. You know how trains are always painted pink or red as an undercoat before they apply the actual coat? It's the same principle here. Start off with a very light pink before getting into the darker colors. And it basically resulted in a very delicious looking candy dinosaur. But once I reminded myself that plastic is not edible, I began painting on the color shift, although I realized it wasn't covering up the light pink enough and it would make it too bright. So that's when I got to work with a much darker pink. And I was basically working to erase any trace of cotton candy pink, so that when I applied the color shift, it would stand out a lot more on a darker base. But I didn't completely erase the light pink, so that it would still have a little counter shading. I believe that's the right term, maybe not, I don't know. Then I began experimenting whether I wanted color shift purple or color shift pink, and which one would look better on the Raja. I eventually settled on color shift pink, as that was the whole reason I bought that, so that it could be for Alpha Dinosaurs. And I wasn't going easy, I was putting on thick amounts of color shift because I wanted to cover this thing in color shift. But it had just made the Raja look like he was taking a bloodbath. Plus it was a bit too red for the Alpha Raja, which is a bit more of a cool purple. So I decided to experiment further and apply some color shift purple on top of the color shift pink. And for this I applied multiple thin coats so I didn't completely erase the color shift pink. And to ensure that the bottom half didn't look dull in comparison to the top half, I began putting light amounts of color shift white, so that this thing would be completely shiny. Like no matter what angle you look at him, he is going to sparkle. After a ton of experimenting, I finally came to a mix of purple and pink that I was satisfied with. And then it was finally time to add the yellow. Now, this was the hardest part because one, yellow is a color that does not like to stick onto whatever you're painting onto, and also because there was a lot of special patterning I had to do that was like, it's just like not very straight lines, a lot of jagged lines everywhere. Now, it didn't turn out exactly like how it's supposed to appear in the games, but for what I'm trying to accomplish, it was satisfactory. Then there was more paint experiments, using the same gold I used on Armadas, as well as the color shift yellow, so I could see if I could find a nice balance between that solid gold, but also the color shift yellow to make sure it's not too metallic. Then it was time to add the finishing details, such as the obsidian claws and the pale eyes, because one thing about the Alpha Raja, it has pure white eyes.
So I started off by painting the eyes titanium white, and then once it had dried, I applied a thin coat of color shift white to ensure that the eyes sparkled like everything else. Painted all the claws obsidian, and painted the teeth gray. I'll explain why later. And once the Mod Podge is dry, let's test out our new Rajasaurus.
And bada bing, bada boom, there's our Super Alpha Rajasaurus. And we got Anakin involved in a skit. Apologies for not including him in one last repaint because I ran out of time and I was focusing on the Christmas special, but now he finally got one. And I did give him to Darth Vader because it just makes sense. Both of them have the power to defy gravity using the Force, so yes, of course they're going to be paired together. Not to mention, the Megalosaurus is named Anakin. Now, a weird pairing is pairing this Alpha Rajasaurus with Anna. Why I decided to do that? I personally have no idea. I just thought, hey, Elsa's got like a Cryolophosaurus over there, and this Rajasaurus is super pink. Let's give it to Anna just for the lulz. Gee, let's, come on, if we can just focus the camera, place you right there. Where do I even begin with this Rajasaurus? This is like, it feels like I'm holding, honestly, I'm just speechless. I don't know where to begin. Let's see if I can replicate how good the color shift on the back looks like. I, of course, started off with the hot pink and then just put on multiple coats of like color shift pink and then color shift purple, and I think it all blends together really nicely, especially when the light hits it. It just makes it feel, oh, like actually it just feels like a Christmas ornament, I'm not gonna lie. Another thing I'm debating is whether I should have given this thing pupils or not, because in the artwork, it does have very subtle pupils. I know I gave the chibi pupils because that's the chibi form and needs to look cute, but this is the attack mode and needs to look mean and scary. Although I am wondering if I made it look too zombified and if a light pupil would assist it or not. I'll let you decide if that's okay or not. Another change I made was giving it white teeth. Because this is a reborn dinosaur, so the teeth have been cleansed of its impurities, so they're no longer yellow, they're completely white. And, you know, if I have a chance to avoid painting yellow teeth, I will, because yellow teeth are disgusting. And I think the paint kinda interferes with the action feature. I can get it to work, but it's very clunky down there, and I best don't activate it too much. I think the best way to describe this is that it reminds me of a Chinese dragon, it's mainly thanks to the gold, because those things are always like bright red, followed by covered in gold. So this thing just really reminds me of a Chinese dragon, which honestly, I really like that because I had a Chinese dragon when I was younger. It broke, but I still have the Chinese lion, so these two can pair up nicely, can't they? Now I'm going to take the time to talk about the Alpha Dinosaurs, which are basically, they're just random dinosaurs from the game that got recolored into alpha colors, which is lots of purples, pinks, reddish colors, followed by highlights of yellow. And unfortunately, in the show, the writers decided that the Alpha Gang can never be cool or awesome. So they only got one Alpha Dinosaur, which was, of course, the Acrocanthosaurus. Now, on one hand, this makes the Acro extra special and helps him stand out from every other dinosaur in the show. But on the other hand, it means we don't get to see these other amazing-looking alphas. But this year, we're going to give the Alpha Dinosaurs the respect they deserve, because this year on Rampant Repaints, I have a lot planned. I want to paint a Super Alpha Iguanodon, a Super Alpha Chasmosaurus, a Super Alpha Kentrosaurus, who I cannot even fit. Come on, everyone move aside, let the Kentro in, thank you. This Dilophosaurus, I really have no use for it. It's naked, it's very unpainted, very cheap looking thing. And now that I have the Amber Collection one, I really have no use for this full-on green one, so might as well repaint him into an Alpha Dilophosaurus. And Rajasaurus is the first in line and leading them to the future. Call this the year of the Alpha Dinosaurs, because we have a lot of Alpha repaints planned. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time. Tell me which one of these you want to see get the Alpha treatment next. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video from beginning to end. If you want to see more, subscribe to the channel, join the Zainreborn community. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.